Hello, beautiful Aries. Welcome, welcome. This is my Aries reading for April 2021. It is amazing to have you here. It's amazing to be here because whilst I've been working for Spirit and working with people for years and years and years and years, bringing this to YouTube is a new experience for me. But I'm excited about it. I feel good. I feel good to be here. I'm happy that you're with me. I'll put some links in the description box to my website so that you can find out more about who I am, and also to my Facebook and my Patreon. But for now, let's just get stuck in, I think. Let's begin. Happy birthday, April Aries. So for those of you that are celebrating this month, happy birthday, and a belated happy birthday to those of you, so our March Aries, because I know you would have just had one, right? So happy birthday. I felt really excited when I tuned into the Aries energy before I sat down to record this. It just felt like everything through April was or will be giving you permission to move forward with your life. It feels like you guys have been going through some big transformations, and that who you've become is ready to go out into the world in a bigger way. And that what I actually wrote down for you was that there's no going back and you are free to move on. And it feels like you are moving through some really big healing energies that support you in giving yourself that permission and that allowance to be happy now, letting go of some of those those little niggles about things that have happened in the past, and whether you're allowed to be happy because you made mistakes, or because you chose a different path, or because you left a world behind. And there is a lot going on around you that says, yes, now is your time. There's this full support and encouragement from the spirit world and the universe that says you are allowed to be the person you've become, and you need not apologize for the paths that brought you to this place, the paths that were part of your becoming, the life experiences that you had to go through to become this version of yourself, and that you absolutely are allowed to enjoy the rewards and the abundance and the adventure that's ahead for you now. So I think that's really awesome. I think that's so great. And so I'm going to pull a few cards. I'm going to pull 3, and we'll sort of look at what themes and conversations are coming up for you in April. And after that, I will also pull 1 card that centers on relationship, because I know a lot of us want to know about that, so I'm going to do that too. So I've got my cards here. I'm using a Rider-Waite deck, and what I love is, you've got the Fool, and that's like so Aries energy, isn't it? Like, I was just shuffling and picked it up, and that's what we've got. The Fool is that. Please go off into your new territories now. Please know that you are free to roam, Aries. You are free to roam, and you're free to have those life experiences now that are reflective of your own becoming. Please go out in the world and begin. That's our Fool energy right there. Let's have a look then. So I'm going to pull 3, just laying them down on my table here. Ooh, let's see what we've got. Okay, so our first card is the Queen of Pentacles. Our second card is the Hierophant. And our third card is King of Wands. Well, that's you right there, isn't it? You've come up in the reading. Loving this. So I think when we explore Queen of Pentacles, I think we are going to be exploring throughout April the ideas of what it is you want now that you have emotionally matured into a different place. I think the wants and desires that you had 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, I think that a lot of those may be feeling quite flat now, and maybe you realize that you don't even want those those same things, those same dreams, those same goals, because you've changed and now your wants and desires are evolving in reflection of that. And it feels as though you are being given time. That's what it feels like you're being given time and opportunities to actually discern what feels good for you now. What do you consider abundant now? What do you consider those golden experiences, those golden feelings, those golden wants? What is it now? Because everything's changed for you. You are no longer the Aries you were this time last year. And it feels as though you are going to be given lots of real life opportunities. So, the actual being in it, maybe conversations, finding yourself in unexpected places where you have these realizations through the feeling of it and through the living of it, that now you know what you want. I feel like there may have been some uncertainty recently about what it is you want to go towards. So, you've got this here, you are free to move on, but there may be questions about move on where am I even going to? And I feel like April is really going to give you these real life living experiences that awaken the knowing, the absolute knowing, that's where I want to move on to, that's what I want to experience. And I feel like you've now got the emotional maturity to take these experiences to the fullest. You may find that you have questions about whether you can go towards these things you want, because maybe you tried something similar in the past and it didn't work out for you in the way that you would have hoped. And so there's that little niggle of uncertainty, insecurity, and just a lack of self-belief. And I'm not saying that it may not even be this grand lack of self-belief, but just a little niggle that says, well, if I've tried something similar before, can I do that now? And I feel like the answer is yes. And the reason for that is because the person you've become is able to interact with this experience in a very different way. And the way that you've developed your sense of self, the way that you're so much more attuned to who you are, you're listening in different ways, you're connecting in different ways, you're choosing different relationships to engage in that enhance you. And I feel like the way that you are moving through life and the sense of your own becoming is the very reason why now you can take these experiences to the fullest. And I feel like with our Queen of Pentacles, this is very lead with your heart energy to create your own kingdom and know that you are somebody that can create kingdoms, whatever your kingdom looks like, whether your kingdom is on the move, traveling the world, if the restrictions allow all that, or whether you're the adventurous sense is what I was getting at there, or whether your kingdom is something that you want to create in the form of business or family or a house, like whatever it is you're wanting to create, your heart now is, you're listening to your heart so much more than you ever have, that you've got more potential than you ever have to take this to the fullest and take your ideas and make them into reality, because your heart is leading the way. And it's, partly you are sitting there checking in, but I think it's just so much more natural for you now to be following the feelings, and you are so more emotionally connected to yourself that the heart's leading anyway. And I feel like this Queen of Pentacles energy is really saying you are moving towards everything you've ever wanted, and that is available to you now. And that, I guess, that goes hand in hand. If we sort of couple it back with no going back, you are free to move on, this is saying that as you move on, whatever you move on into is available to you now. There is so much more available to you now because of your own becoming, and it's looking pretty golden. Like your ability to create and mold your creation into whatever you want it to be, there's so much working around you now from that spirit energy, the universe energy, and I feel like you're going to have lots of people put in the right place. And it's just really, this is it, like this is your time, Aries. Like this is your time, this is your year, this is your chapter. It's feeling really, really good. And then as we move into then the Hierophant, I feel like with the Hierophant here, we are looking at, if we couple them together, you're about to move into everything you've ever wanted to create. And this is going to be awesome. Your heart's leading the way. And your Hierophant is saying, just don't get tangled up in rules that no longer belong to you. You have moved away from quite a lot of old stuff, old environments, old situations, old living experience. And I feel like some of the old rules that you used to play by, you have outgrown. And it's in the creation of these new worlds for yourself that you will establish new philosophies. And so our Hierophant here is encouraging us to let your heart lead the way, whilst allowing all possibilities to be open and not to get too knotted up in rights and wrongs and this is the way to do it and this is not the way to do it, but also other people's perspective of what's the right and wrong way to go forward, what is the right and wrong way to navigate, what is the right and wrong way to handle things. And I feel like other people have ideas for you that they feel are loving and supportive and helpful, but they just don't resonate with you. And so I feel like there is a reworking of how you want to move in the world according to your own rules. And I feel like that will come in the form of letting go of the old ones. And there might be a bit of time and space in between. There's the old ones dissipate for you to establish new ones. So don't expect it to be like, oh, you suddenly come up with a new playbook by tomorrow. Like there is a bit of time here where living experience itself is going to inspire your new code, your new ethos, your new personal sort of mantras about how you want to be in the world. And so you may find as you're moving forward and you're leaving everything behind and you're giving yourself permission, that's exactly when this stuff comes up and say, well, hold on a minute, so and so in the past said that I couldn't do it this way, and when I've tried this before, I had all these other voices come forwards that confused me. And I think that's great. Anytime you are feeling particularly confused or uncertain about your next steps, this will be the time to question what beliefs you have around how you think this is supposed to go and how you believe you are supposed to be presenting yourself in the world. Because we are transforming that. And this is great because we're transforming that so that you can be yourself. So that you can go out here, creating your own worlds, creating your own kingdoms, creating your own life experience as the person you've become. And everything we're putting into place in April is incredibly supportive of you feeling that you can be you in the world, that you can be an individual, that you can do things the way that you feel called to do them, that you can be emotional and passionate, that you don't have to climb through these ranks in the same modality that other people climb through them, that you can find ways that are reflective of you. And everything that's coming is so that you can be yourself in the world. The version of you that has not only become, but the version of you that is still becoming, and that you can feel confident and enthusiastic and inspired to be you in the world, that that you have a place, and that that you belong, and that that you are allowed to be successful and happy and full of life, and that you don't have to pretend to be something that you're not in order to achieve it. And of course, Aries just really don't sit well with pretending. Aries really gets quite knotted up and sticky and crunchy the moment they're trying to be something they're not, and they tend to slip down down a bit of a mudslide anytime that they try to do it, because it's so against your nature to be anything other than you are. And I feel like what's coming into place with all these fantastic energies here, or what's coming into place with all these fantastic energies, is everything you need to be able to actually feel good about it. I mean, you've always known it. You've always known that you've got to be out in the world as yourself, but you know, there are times where you battle about what that means and how that feels. Sometimes that it's been hard. It's been hard to be there out in the world because other people maybe didn't get you or didn't appreciate what you're bringing to the table. And I feel like what's coming into place now is everything you need for your creation process and for you to step out into the world and move forward and feel great about it, to feel that sense of, you know, self-esteem increasing, self-confidence increasing, sense of self solidifying. And I just feel like you're about to become one hell of a powerhouse. This is exciting. Like, this is really exciting. And I think if you're looking for evidence throughout April, the evidence to be on the lookout for is, how is life encouraging me to be myself? Where am I seeing evidence that I can be myself and that I am loved for who I am, that I'm celebrated for who I am? And I feel like these places that you observe will almost be your encouragement to go towards more of that. So if you are noticing, okay, these people are celebrating me, this place is really getting me, then, you know, that's your sign to invest that way, right? That's the places you want to go. And I feel like what's great is, as you move forward through April, you should find that, you know, with this no going back, you are free to move on. I just feel like there's so much calling to you that is validating. I don't mind validation. I think sometimes we need it, right? It's validating, it's reflective, it's exciting, it's invigorating, it's vibrant, it's fun, it's playful. You're almost going to be too busy to look back too much. I mean, it will happen occasionally, but again, if you feel that sting of, oh, but before, and oh, in the past, then that's just asking you to rework your philosophies and ideas around that, whatever that is, you know, like, but I just feel like everything is saying, you have arrived, Aries. Please go forward into the world. We've been waiting for you. And it's really good. So yeah, you've got a lot to look forward to here, haven't you? April's going to be a good month for you. And I'm so pleased. You'll have to let me know how it's all going and how you are feeling as you out in the world. You'll have to share with me how you're noticing that, you know, through evidence and life experience, that you can be the person you've become, and where that feels good to you, and how I'd love to hear experiences about, if you are being out in the world, how different that is now, how different that is to when you've been out in the world before. Okay, so let's touch on relationships. We've got the Ace of Swords. So Aries, I love the Ace of Swords. I was trying to find a good placement for it. Just gonna have a slurp of my coffee. Okay, I love the Ace of Swords. It's one of my favorite cards in the whole of the deck, and I feel like if we're tuning into this from a relationship standing, then it's that whether you are in partnership, whether you are single and interacting on the, you know, sort of moving into those romantic experiences, whether you are looking at relationships from a how you navigate with your friends, families, colleagues perspective, this is just relationships across the board, okay? You're being called just to be honest. I think if we engage with everything I just discussed about your own becoming the last year and going out in the world as you, then when it comes to your relationships, this is your call to bring yourself to the table and be honest, and know that your honesty is not a threat to other honest people. That your ability to express your thoughts, your mind, your intellect, your passion, your heart, your vulnerabilities, your feelings, everything, your ability to express how you're experiencing life, when that's honest, other honest people love it. We get it, we want it, we sort of sink right into it, And I feel like you do not need to fear being honest, but being truthful and being real and being authentic is the way that all of your relationships are going to be enhanced in April. It is where you're going to be able to meet people where you are and where they are. And I feel like it's going to be really supportive of creating something real. Aries, you need the real people because you are a very real thing. And I feel like if you are interacting with people that haven't yet developed the confidence to be honest, that doesn't need to be an aggressive situation. It doesn't need to be that we tell them off. Why can't you just be honest? What is wrong with you? I think a lot of people, when they're not honest, it's usually a form of self-protection, and that's a really big sign that there is some emotional underdevelopment that is still evolving. And that's not, that's not negative on that person. It just is. And I feel like instead of trying to get people to understand you, I think sometimes we can express ourselves and really become quite vocal with our truth in the hope that the person in front of us is going to then understand us. But if you find that that person themselves really struggles to express and communicate honestly, it won't matter how honest you are with them. They're still not going to quite get it because they're experiencing life from a different place. And I feel like when it comes to relationships, there is a lot of potential here this month for some really rewarding conversation where you're meeting people eye to eye, you're connecting, you are going to places that you've never been before in your relationships because you've never been this version of you before. And this version of you is fantastic. And this version of you can really be experiencing some fantastic communication this month, fantastic connection, fantastic chemistry. But it does require you to place truth and honesty and integrity above all things when it comes to relationship. I think a lot of us want things like consistency. We say we want someone to be consistent. I don't think humans can be consistent. And I think, we could be saying, I want this person to do this, and this. Again, reassess your rules that came up with their Hierophant about how we believe people are supposed to behave. I think when we're allowing the fullness of humanity, that's honest. And I think value sincerity over everything else, and you could have some incredible heart connections this month. And I feel like what this is doing is providing space for you to give this version of you a test drive out in the world in a different way. I feel like you're expressing feelings you've never had before, perspectives you've never had before, desires you've never had before, yearnings you've never had before, philosophies you've never had before. And because this is maybe the first time you're feeling a lot of this stuff, communicating it is going to be a bit weird. It's going to be like, oh, that's quite vulnerable. I've not said this before. I've not had this conversation before. I've not had someone hold this conversation before. And it feels a little bit vulnerable. But I am so thrilled to be out here with integrity and sincerity and authenticity and feeling and realness. And it does feel like if we lead with the truth, we will meet the truth. And I feel like that's what you've been yearning for. That's what you've been wanting, is someone you can be your whole self with, and also hold a space for someone else to be their whole self. And I think the reason that a lot of this is going to be very different in April for you is because in the past, there may have been times that you were battling with your own sense of self at the time. And occasionally it may have been that in relationships there was this back and forth where neither one of you were able to hold the space quite in the way that you knew you wanted to, because there was that internal influx, and I think where there was punishment on self it was sometimes obviously going sort of like a bouncy ball back and forth and punishment on the other. And occasionally it was just finding it hard to find that harmony. But I feel like it can be different now because you are so much more allowing of yourself, and so much of yourself is, it's like your sense of self is now pressing up against your skin from the inside. It's like you're so full of you, and this you is someone that people can connect with. Well, the right people, the people you'd want. This version of you has the capacity to have very different connective experiences. And I feel like through these connective experiences, you're going to have so much healing, because you're going to realize it can be different. And it can be different because I'm different. And that feels really rewarding. That just feels like, I just feel like your personal story about relationships, it is changing. And I think April's going to be really evident of that you're going to be saying that this has never happened to me before. I've never spoken to a person like this. I've never experienced this before. And I've never had this connection before, and this honesty and this sharing. And I think it's going to be so healing and transformative, because it's going to change the way that you talk about your relationships. And you are going to feel so seen and so held and so wanted. So wanted. And I just feel like you're going to feel really valued and appreciated and loved by so many different avenues in your life. And, do look out for the evidence of that. Get looking out for it even now, because it's momentum, right? So when you're looking for the evidence of it, you'll keep seeing it, and you'll keep seeing it. But if you're looking for the absence of it, you'll just keep seeing the absence of it. So when you do feel that, when you do notice it's happening, I know, write it down somewhere, or tell a friend, vocalize it, solidify it into the reality, because this is all part of you living a very different experience now, and your relationships are transforming, and there is no going back to the way that you did relationships before. That thing I wrote down as it tuned into you, that is, that is also relevant to relationship. And I feel like there's no going back. Whatever you've done before in relationship, there's no going back. You're not doing it again. This is now, you are free to move on. So if you're, if you are carrying some sting of past relationship crises, no matter what sort of a placement that takes, know that you are now free to move on, and what you're moving towards is something much more real. And like I said, you're a very real thing, and you need other real people. You're so real. You're a real heart, a real passion, real feelings, real human. And you need to be around the other real humans that are full feeling and real about it. And it does seem that April is paving the way for more opportunity and lived in experience of that. So that is super exciting. Okay, well, thank you for joining me, Aries. I will be back again next month. I will be doing monthly YouTube star sign readings, but you can also join me on Facebook. You can join me on my website. You can book in for readings, but you can also join me on my new Patreon, budding new community that I've begun. I will be doing weekly videos and daily card readings, and I'd love to have you over there with me. I'm going to be doing some fun stuff, so come and join me, and I will look forward to talking to you again next month. Sending you all the love for April, and I'll look forward to next time. See you later.